Hello, my name is Tara, and I'm with Abhi, Nicholas, and Diego, and this is one of the first Speculator podcasts for the 2021 and 2022 school year. So for our first episode, we're going to talk about some of our recent articles, as well as some other recent topics that have been on our mind. So, Diego, do you want to take it away?
So first, I wanted to talk about Johns Creek High School's decision to lift the mask mandate due to a decrease in COVID cases. So I would like to say, right here in front of everyone, on the record, that this is very stupid. I think it makes absolutely no sense to leave the door open for some possibility of another wave of COVID coming back. It has been proven through several studies that mask mandates are what help decrease COVID cases. The CDC said that counties without mask mandates were 3.5 times more likely to have a COVID outbreak than those with mask mandates. So we had a mask mandate here. Why take it away? It just doesn't seem like a logical choice. If COVID's not gone, yeah, it's decreasing, but it's not going away. It's still here. It's still very prominent in our community. So it's just so stupid to do this and take away the mask mandate.
Personally, it feels like not just stupid, but just plain reckless. I mean, there's a reason why the mask mandate was put into place at the beginning of the school year, right? I feel like having the mask mandate in place actually benefited us and made the numbers go down eventually. And by letting us take off our masks, this is only giving us a little bit of comfort during the school day to have our masks off and try to return back to normal life. But I think it makes more sense that we keep our masks on for the time being, and that will actually benefit us for the long run.
I just feel very uncomfortable with people not wearing their masks. I don't know. I'm just very uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, if we look back to the beginning of the school year, we didn't have a mask mandate for like the first week or so. And what happened? Oh, cases went up, so we got a mask mandate. Like, are they just like dumb? I don't get it. And I think the people that are making these decisions are really only thinking about themselves. They think, I'm a healthy adult. I'm vaccinated. I don't need to wear a mask. And that's it. And they don't actually care about what other people feel and what other people are going through.
Personally, I feel pretty uncomfortable walking through the halls and just seeing even people with their masks below their mouth or their nose. It just doesn't feel like there's a need for a mask mandate anymore if only a certain percentage of people are actually taking part in it and utilizing it.
I think something that also contributes is the fact that we live in the South, guys, and, the South isn't usually very progressive in their COVID ideals, and I think that that's a heavy part in the reason why the mask mandate policy, the 100 per 100,000 cases, is so flimsy and so changeable, and really, it does not work well for the COVID pandemic situation that we have currently.
Yeah, I know a good example of this. Some family friends of mine were at a birthday party, and they were all unvaccinated, and they didn't wear a mask the entire time, and that created an epicenter down here, and it just completely tore apart that group of people and made them extremely sick, and it was an extremely unsafe event.
A lot of people don't feel comfortable with people not wearing masks, and I know it's supposed to be like a personal freedom thing, but it's a public safety thing. I feel like if somebody isn't okay with someone parading around, spreading their germs everywhere, I feel like that's a pretty reasonable feeling to have. I remember the other day I went to the bathroom and there were 10 guys all in there, all cramped up. None of them were wearing masks. And I was like, okay, I'm not going here. And then I left. And then I went to another bathroom because I was scared. And it's really I feel like the people are really only looking at this from a surface level. I'm originally from Mexico, and all my family lives down there, and they haven't been able to be vaccinated for the most part. My 91-year-old grandma actually came to move with us for a little while COVID was still around, and she wasn't able to get vaccinated back in Mexico. And she's here, and she got the first dose, but she hasn't been able to get the second one. So if I get COVID and I come back home and I hug her or am around her, I am very likely to spread it to her. And because of her age, she is not likely to deal with it well. But the people that are making these regulations are just like, oh, the mask sucks. I can't breathe that well. Oh, it's just a piece of cloth. It doesn't do anything. And I just feel like they're really not thinking about other people.
Yeah, it feels like there's a certain inherent privilege that people feel that having a mask or taking off their mask gives them. A lot of people that I know who oftentimes don't want to wear their mask feel that they're not going to get COVID, and even if they do, it's not going to be that bad. And I think that's partially because COVID has been politicized over the past year and a half that it's been ravaging our country. I feel like misinformation has led to this politicized ideal of wearing a mask, saying I can die if I want to, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Misinformation is a really big problem here in America. One of the really prominent examples here in Fulton County was this newspaper that was going around called the Pamphleteer, and I had done an article on them for the site a few weeks back. And when I was reading through the articles, they were suggesting a lot of information that wasn't really credible from a simple Google search. They were citing a professor that had been criticized by Baylor University for pushing anti-vax information. They were citing professors and doctors who didn't even have degrees in medicine. They had degrees in English or gender studies. They didn't have any degrees in medicine and had no authority on vaccinations. And yet these were the people they were citing. And they created this sort of bubble of misinformation, suggesting things like human hacking, where the government could hack you by giving you a vaccine, which is blatant misinformation, completely wrong, and prevents people from actually getting the vaccine because now they're scared of something called human hacking, which doesn't even exist. And they're just pulling all of this data from out of the sky. I don't know where they're pulling this data. They're pulling it from wherever, and they're just picking certain pieces that'll sensationalize their news and get them more readers, but that puts those people at risk.
I think you're right, and the problem, I think, lies within the actual definition of what we call news, what we call the information that is brought to us. As the citizens of the U.S., we have a privilege to hear about all the ongoing events that our citizens need to know about, like elections, like public events, even stuff as trivial as like concerts or city plans. I mean, all of these pieces of information we hold a privilege to here in the United States, and is generally defined as fact, right? When you see an article from the New York Times, from the Washington Post, you trust that it is a fact. It has been thoroughly researched. It has been confirmed by many other people. And thus, it leads you to believe this without any question. And yet, we've entered into an era where this can no longer be the case, where the line between fact and opinion, the line between what is in the truth and what is simply being cherry-picked to show an ulterior motive, it's being blurred. And this can be seen with the recent presidential elections, with the transition of power from Trump to Biden. As this was going on, so many different news articles, right-wing, left-wing journalism, it became so prominent. And as the political gap widened, so did the gap between what was truly journalism, what was giving fact, and simply cherry-picking data to promote a political motive.
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel like a lot of news organizations, especially the ones that rely on this quote-unquote big TV journalism with these very prominent hosts. A great example of this is Fox News or MSNBC, both of whom really rely on their opinion anchors. One example is Tucker Carlson. His way of reporting on the quote-unquote news really he has a lot of bias in what he reports, and although it's not misinformation, it heavily biases the information that his viewers are receiving from him, and that contributes to a lot of misinformation because they're believing what Tucker's opinions rather than the facts, because they are hearing only one person's opinion, one person's viewpoint, rather than looking at the entirety of the information.
In modern communications today, it just seems like there's a fine line between what is taken for fact and what is simply opinion. Like, there's no more definition between empirical and bias in news outlets today, which makes it really volatile and prone to misinformation spreading and the politicization of certain topics in our modern day.
And like how Tara was saying with Tucker Carlson, he gives one viewpoint, and the fact that so many people are leaving the show, leaving his speech with only one perspective of an entire story is really degrading from the complexity of so many of the issues that are present in society, right? You look at racism, you look at the Black Lives Matter protest, you look at the riots on January 6th. I mean, these are all stories with not even one or two viewpoints, but more than 1,000. I mean, you see politicians, students, teachers, regular citizens, small business owners. So many people have a stake in everything that goes on in the U.S., and the fact that people are only being able to see one or two perspectives of this is really taking away from the actual complexity of many of the issues.
Yeah, I also think one of the things that these organizations are guilty of is a lot of gatekeeping. You know, they share their opinions with everyone without any actual evidence, and people have these ideas in the back of their head, like they're thinking about them throughout the rest of their day, and then the other side does something wrong, and then so the organizations then use that as the only evidence for the reason that side is bad, which just really puts everything else in jeopardy because it's still not really the truth.
As we're closing off for this episode and for today, I feel like the whole theme that we've been kind of going around is just to take everything with a grain of salt and to really understand the implications of the information and the actions that you choose to consume or do. I think that we would really benefit. I think we all think that, not to sound like Victoria Justice or anything, but I think we all think that we would benefit from a bit more critical thinking of our actions and the information that we consume. So thank you all for listening, and we hope for you to listen next time. Thank you. Bye.